welcoming all our viewers to another week of International Affairs being broadcasted here from the Dhaka's capital city of Bangladesh. I welcome all our viewers onto this program. I have some distinctive updates from across the weekend. We know for a fact that on Friday, the two leaders of the United States and Islamic Republic of Iran has signed the MOU understanding, the Islamabad MOU, namely so. However, we have seen some deviations from the plan. We have seen violations caused by Israel regarding Lebanon as well. It has prompted the so-called scrapped meeting inside Switzerland to come back into life, into action. We know that the Premier of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, has arrived in Switzerland, and international media is reporting from a Swiss island of Bergenstock. I want to begin. We have in the studio Mr. John Dalton, our international correspondent. I welcome you on to the program. As you were hearing on Zoom, we have Norman Floyd Barnes. He is our geopolitical correspondent from Washington, District of Columbia. Welcoming both gentlemen. I want to have a question regarding this very issues with Norman Floyd Barnes. A very good morning to you, sir. How are you seeing these things, as both J.D. Vance is also supposed to land across to Bergenstock, Switzerland as well? How do you see this, the latest updates as well? Norman Floyd Barnes.
Good morning from Washington, actually from Virginia home. My analysis is this. We are now looking at a scripted act of deception. We spoke about this last week, and nothing has surprised me. These leaders has found a way to deceive the people, the public, on exactly what's going on. There was a planned meeting for Friday to discuss the technical details of the ending of the war. The government of Iran and the United States has signed an agreement before Friday's meeting in Switzerland. Vice President Vance was surprisingly immediately told not to get on the plane because other things are happening. Well, the Iranians, as we talked about it, looked at the situation, analyzed that Iran needed to back off because one of the terms dealing with Lebanon, the Israelis started killing more people. They started putting more attacks, killing more people. This killing spree continued. So because of that, Iran said, well, the United States can't control their Israelis monster, I call them the monster machine. And since they can't control them, we're going to control the situation, the narrative. The narrative is basically now the strait is closed. They say the strait is closed. Conflicting comments from the United States is that the strait is open. So are you open? Are you closed? We don't know. We do know that people are, and when I say people, the two governments are sending conflicting stories, and we have 500 some tankers sitting in that area, can't move, can't get these full tankers out to start commerce. And everybody's confused on what to do. Do I come? Do I go? The U.S. said some of the ships are going, 20 will go out, but we still have a bottleneck of fuel and controversy. So as we talked about it, the consistent thing is that Israel is continuing to bombard Lebanon at a Gaza type of attack. They are still attacking. They're still moving forward. And with that, this whole peace deal is at jeopardy. I suspect that it will disrail the whole process. We in a 60-day period. The Vice President Vance is arriving in Switzerland, should be momentarily today. to discuss the details of the nuclear arms, the nuclear weapon materials, and how we can get out of this hot mess. Well, the pot is getting hotter. The situation is getting more clear, but we do know that Israel is continuing to cause problems. And the Iranians and now the world is seeing that, hey, the United States do not have the ability, do not have the will, or it is all orchestrated to create a situation where we're trying to set up this plan, but things are happening that we can't control. And both parties, either, Iran is going to respond, Israel is going to respond, and there will be a reason to bring the United States back into the situation militarily that they are now faced with. Now we have to decide what we're going to do. The price of oil is fluctuating. News has finally come out that the oil reserves in the world is down. The United States president mentioned himself that our oil reserves are down to the minimum, 20 billion gallons, which is basically just enough for 40 days of oil reserves. So we're basically using up all the oil reserves, and we have no way of replenishing that. Now that information is out, what do you think Iran is going to do? They're going to close the strait. They're going to tighten the noose.
Right.
And now the situation is basically, now since nobody wants to solve this thing, it's going to be resolved by the fact that it's going to starve the rest of the world in terms of this situation, because we have a ally called Israel who wants to do its own thing and do not want to comply. And they have a mission to control the region. They want the whole region. Israel wants that whole region, and they want the United States out so they can control the whole region. So now we have the real issue. We're looking at conflict. We're looking at continued conflict for the rest of the year. If the strait was open today, let's say everybody was clear today, it would take until September of next year to get things back to normal. But we know, as I just stated, it's closed again. So now we're going with this back and forth process, and the world is going to suffer for this. Governments is going to suffer for this. So let's hold on for this hot mess as it continues. The story is now becoming a old soap opera.
Excellent remarks as well.
Continue.
Right. Thanking Norman. Yes. Excellent response, excellent opening to the current situation that we see. Of course, once again, in geopolitical circles, a meeting that was scheduled for Friday, what we thought was cancelled but is happening today. Of course, during this time, before the strait was closed on Saturday, 25 ships has crossed this very critical stage, critical strait. 1.7 metric tons were released. However, as Norman was stating, that the United States President Donald Trump has stated the world economy has 4 weeks of roughly oil availability. I want to turn to the studio with John Dalton. You are hearing Norman, some of these issues that are very important. He is emphasizing that the conflict may now go on to a more critical stage if Israel is very pursuant on its conquest into Lebanon. Given to news agency Axios, Donald Trump has given a statement. He said that there were no limits to his power in an interview, while also stating Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu needed to be kept sane in remarks that come amid this fragile ceasefire. That is the only dictionary word I would use to describe this event. How do you see it?
Well, I've said on this show, and thank you, Norman, for your intro, I've said on this show that I do not believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu has control over the Israeli Defense Forces, that they are a rogue element, that they act independently, that they're managed by those right-wing members of his coalition government.
Right.
This is Katz and Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and Herzog. These guys are trying to control this whole area. Norman has talked about this, the idea that from the biblical sense that Israel is going to be able to go from the Euphrates to the Nile. I mean, they're acting as religious zealots.
Crusaders.
Crusaders, okay, thanks. And it cannot survive. I mean, America simply has to try to find some way to intervene in a very, very difficult political situation because elections will be scheduled in Israel soon. The Netanyahu coalition is in danger, of course, but there may be no alternative because surprisingly, most of the polling that's done in Israel has supported the aggressive action of Israel in southern Lebanon as well as in Gaza. So this government may survive, and Netanyahu may survive as well. And as Norman pointed out, this will prolong the entire engagement in the area, whether it's with Iran or now new actors will enter into it as well. I mean, there's no question that the MOU that was signed was a complete capitulation by the United States. It was a surrender. It's almost like the German surrender at Versailles. The U.S. surrender at Versailles was exactly the same. It's an embarrassment, exactly. I mean, Germany was asked to pay reparations after World War I, and here America is paying reparations to Iran after this encounter.
300 billion to some accounts.
But usually the loser pays to the victor.
Right.
Here we are as the victor paying to the loser, apparently, which would lead me to believe that the United States is giving tacit understanding that they have lost control of this encounter. And the way that they have lost it is through the Strait of Hormuz. They no longer are able to address the control of that issue. And even the MOU talks about the fact that the Strait of Hormuz negotiations will be between Oman and Iran, with the United States having no business whatsoever in dealing with the strait and passage in the strait. So, one, I think it's an embarrassment to the United States. They have lost this conflict with Iran. I think Israel's out of control, and that even J.D. Vance commenting that a government of 10 million people cannot kill its way into security.
Right.
That you can't attack all of your neighbors at once. So I think there's more to come. There's going to be a couple of why all of a sudden Bergdorf and Goodman, the two negotiators that we sent off there to do this job, why they arrived at this 14-point plan is beyond me. It's a complete capitulation. And that everything that we sought to do, with the sole exception of continuing negotiations on the uranium, everything has been handed back to Iran. And one other last note, and then I'll give it back to you. As soon as Iran indicated that they had copies of the Epstein files, Trump went all squishy and happy, and these are great guys, and they can keep their missiles, and why not? And so there has to be some connection between Iran threatening to release the information in the Epstein files and the action by the United States. We are prisoner to the Epstein files.
And to be released from such imprisonment would require more clarity on governance and how the United States government plans on for the 50 states to be running as usual. Of course, very important decision points coming from you, John Dalton. And of course, I want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes regarding the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. Of course, some of these comments that he's made has been sparking criticisms online, with all the sides saying that at this moment, the only friend Israel has is the United States of America. So once again, also as in the studio, we're hearing John Dalton also say such remarks from J.D. Vance. What are some of the reactions you feel that common Americans might look towards, especially with the relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu's Israel as well as Donald Trump's United States? Of course, the Strait of Hormuz is shut once more. So it is really becoming a challenge. We're seeing 3 months and plus of this important waterway being closed and being open, but there is no door on the ocean. So one has to imagine what one means when a critical waterway is being closed, if not open. I want to pass this very important issue to Norman Floyd Barnes. Your remarks regarding J.D. Vance.
Vice President Vance is a delegated mouthpiece what we call a pit bull for President Trump's administration. He has the responsibility to be the face, be the person through delegation responsible for the outcome of this fiasco. His job and task is to basically to engage with the other parties, this case, Iranian officials through the Pakistani delegation on terms on how do we proceed. This whole process is a delayed process just to keep the organizers of this peace process busy, keep them occupied, and provide entertainment for the public. The public is basically need to know exactly that the United States is doing something, and his job is to basically be the spokesperson for this. While in the backside, there are other discussions, other plans are being made military to deal with this situation. They are looking for the government here in the United States is looking for an alternative and out, a reason, an excuse to get out of this conflict. It may come down to the situation between Israel and the United States. The United States may have to make a decision. Do we continue to utilize and work with Israel on this, or do we cut the losses and get out? Right now, they are creating situations where this process cannot succeed because violations. Either Iran or Israel is going to violate this. One will say, well, we have to defend ourselves. The other one said, we have to defend our future. So in the meantime, as these conversation goes on with the vice president and the contention, the plan is figured on how do we get out of this mess, this MOU? How do we get out not paying the money? How do we get out of this situation with the weapons, the nuclear situation? Right now, the United States was in a better situation before we got into the situation, before we got into this conflict. Before we even started this situation with Iran and the Strait, the United States was in a better situation. Now we are in a situation where now we have a bag of issues that is going to affect our future, next decade of our future, because we are engaged in with a enemy which we don't understand, in a region which we don't understand, and with people we don't understand. So now the whole economic, the whole economy, and the future of the Western world and the plan, the Great American First Plan, is now being re-engineered because now things have changed, and now they have to understand that the world is multipolar and people are learning from this. Now even Lebanon are talking about losses they have, about reparation, who's going to pay for that. So now everybody's learning very quickly what can be done, and this whole thing is emanating from the control of that region, the energy sector, the strait, what effect that can have. Very little effect, maximum impact.
Right. Very interesting statement coming from Norman Floyd Barnes. Important to understand the future of how the globe is going to adapt to this in the next 6 months as remaining of the 2026. How we are going to venture out into a more multilateral world is the importance of the year. With that being said, it's time to take a short commercial break. Afterwards, we look at some of the other issues also related to war, related to this global economy. Do stay tuned on International Affairs. and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
Testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
Welcoming our viewers back on International Affairs. I am joined here in the studio with John Dalton, as well as we have Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, District of Columbia. I want to ask very simply because once again we see that because of the deal there has been a 60-day time frame in which it would be permitted. There would be no maritime fees according to US President Donald Trump regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, there some comments regarding Trump. I say, as I quote, there will be no tolls unless they're imposed by and for the United States of America. This is what he wrote on his social media platform, Truth Social. Of course, it would be collected for services rendered as the guardian angel to the Middle Eastern nations. A comment I was discussing over the break. Just very briefly, John Dalton, what do you think the future is?
Well, I mean, I think that's he thinks in everything in real estate terms. So he's thinking he's going to charge rent. He's going to charge rent to people coming through on his. United States has no interest in there, has no right to be there. It's already stated in the Article 6 of the consultation with Oman on how to establish the future cost after the 60-day period. So somebody probably said, hey, listen, you gave away the store. You're going to let Iran get all of this money. Trump then thought, okay, I better jump in and grab some of that myself. I mean, he's just only interested in the monetary dimensions of anything. He has no heart, no compassion, no empathy. He's just a hollow man.
Right. having empathy and having the sense of getting to a deal even after 100 days. It's really taken a toll on his presidency, his popularity. However, excellent remarks regarding this very issue. We still wait to see the future of the Strait of Hormuz. Turning to a different news, once again stemming from the United States, I want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes, as he was there during the grand opening of the Obama Presidential Center, some of the very comments made by the 44th president who believes in a peaceful transition of power. I want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes, what did you see? How important was this? As I'm sure there was various presidents from the past as well in attendance of this very event. Norman, how do you see this event coming to a life?
Gentlemen, I can just describe it as very emotional, nostalgic, very inspirational for me. As you know, in my past life, I worked on the protection of these four presidents. They was all there. Each four president, I had some impact, some connection in providing service. So somewhat of a homecoming. This was a very important event to see people, but more importantly, to hear the words of the 44th. He talked about how people need to be people. Your word need to have meaning. You have to have honor. You have to do what you say you're going to do, and you have to respect the part that other people have feelings and needs also. Transactional government, which we have right now, appears to have lacking, or they missed that class. It's something of amazement that you see what we had and where we at now. Big difference. I think the people felt very inspired. I felt very inspired about the potential for the people. However, we have impediments right now that we're seeing that's coming to light, and it's coming back to bite the administration. They're going to see it in the polls. They're going to see it real hard in the polls coming up in the fall.
Right.
And the world is not going to digest this current situation. The tolerance is there. The people want something different. It's very clear that we have to find a better way of dealing with the world and dealing with our situation. The old models, the old traditional things is no longer working. It's backfired. It can't succeed. So if we want to be relevant to the future, we have to change our ways and come back to the point, hey, the people has needs. We have a war we in right now that over 69, 70% of the people in this country disagree with. Both parties, doesn't matter. Democrat, Republican, Independent. We do not want our people there. But we are being drawn deeper and deeper into this situation. So it will come down to the point where the current administration will do what they want to do or do what the people say. But in the end, we're looking at a situation where the empire will collapse. So let's hope and pray that people come to the terms, our leaders listen to the people, and we live another day. If not, this is the end. It is not going to survive. It can't survive. We can't transaction our way out of this mess. We paint ourselves in a hole, and it's not going to be sustainable. So it was a great opportunity. It shows hope, and it's very, very inspirational what we could be. It's again not who we are, is what we could be. The whole emphasis of the center is basically this is talk about our potential, not the past and all the good feelings we had, but we have the potential, and it must be led by the people. So here we go.
Of course, important description of how the administration must serve the current citizens of United States of America, humanizing some of the former presidents in line of the United States of America were in the event. It included former presidents Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Joe Biden. Of course, it has a lot of lineup of performers as well. Turning to the studio with John Dalton, I just want a very remark regarding this presidential center. $850 million to build. It includes a museum, garden, a basketball court, and a new branch of the Chicago Public Library. Once again, humanizing past presidents with the people.
Well, it's also on the south side of Chicago, which has needed redevelopment for so many years. And the decision to put it there was a conscious choice to say, I'm going back to my roots. This is where Barack was a community organizer. So it's a very important symbolic place for him as well. It's in stark contrast between Barack Obama, his decency, morality, and his view. You know, hope we can believe in, which is what the organizing principle of his initial campaign. Stark contrast between him and his ideals and what we currently have. And, you know, Donald Trump was not invited to this party, and that also tells you something about how the four other presidents that were there consider him as to be an outlier. He is not representative of what America has been. I worry, like Norman does, that at some point in time, either the American people have to grab back the principles of democracy and restore some decency and integrity in the way we govern, or there will be some sort of pressing catastrophe. There has to be a return to decency, a return to values.
Of course, returning to decency and values, one can definitely pick out U.S. President Donald Trump and the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni in what was, we are thinking, as a issue regarding each other's popularity. Just to mention that it was provoking comments from both the Italian leader as well as the U.S. leader. I want to ask Norman, this has made headlines across the world as Meloni tells Donald Trump to focus on your own popularity as this row between the leaders escalate. Of course, Italy is a member of NATO, and in extending the European friendship with Donald Trump and in his second term, I want to ask you how you feel about this. Maybe a photo op with a fellow leader is a normal thing, but definitely not to turn it into a very politicized view. Want to get a comment from Norman.
Well, very simple. I'm not going to be getting into it. Basically, a show is a show, a opportunity to put information out there, to put the, you know, that I'm still the king of what, I don't know, but I'm still the king. And everybody else has to bow down to me. It's just another photo op, a chance to basically to prove or to stand on the soapbox that I'm bigger than you, I'm taller than you, I'm greater than you. Trying to impact to the point that I am the greatest, I am the best, I'm the only one who can do this while everybody around here is burning. So,
of course, important once again from Norman Floyd Barnes. Interesting debate we're having across my guest here in the studio as well on Zoom. Of course, when the people's mandate fails, when the governments are not being able to govern, situation can very easily intensify. Before I go on to a break, let me give you a perfect example. A crisis in Bolivia intensified on Saturday as President Rodrigo Paz declared a state of emergency, enabling wider military deployment to clear blockades and restore order after protests brought the economy to a halt over the past 50 days. Just an example in a very current setting. With that being said, it's time to take a short commercial break. International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
Opening an open war conflict with them.
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen.
Really
Welcoming our viewers back onto the last segment of International Affairs. We have lost Norman Floyd Barnes' connection, so I thank him for appearing on this very program. Turning to some of the news that we're seeing in the entertainment plateau, which also plays on to geopolitics, wanting to discuss the FIFA World Cup as we see it. Two teams are set to be leaving, as we heard of Turkey and Haiti, but they're still going to be playing out their final games. As we progress on to the group stage of 36, I want to ask John Dalton, some of these issues quite so important. We know for Cape Verde's goalkeeper Vozina and how he wanted his mother to come to the US to see him game. Here is where the State Department won, I believe. His mother did attend their last game. So this is a win for both the department as well as FIFA as a whole. But then in some cases, we see some of these issues arising as Senegalese fans could not get into the US for watching the games, or that is what is perceived. Want to ask you how you're seeing it as of today.
well, you know, in the beginning I was a little bit doubtful. One was the first time we've had 48 teams. And you sort of say, well, you know, Curacao and Haiti and all of these little minnows. But they've all commended themselves very well. Curacao got a goal, first time ever, and so I think it's good on that score. I think that the dynamic between the fans in all of the places, in Mexico, United States, and Canada, has been incredible. I think that as a popular event, you know, proving that this is, you know, the great game, this is absolutely the beautiful game. This is fantastic. And I think the competition has been pretty good. There's been a couple of wipeouts, but not that many. Some of the small, as you pointed out, I mean, Germany had a hard time with Côte d'Ivoire, with Ivory Coast.
Right.
And so I think that it's proving that that soccer is becoming the world game. Football is becoming the world game, and it's great. And the competition has been great. So,
Right.
you know, I think also, I appreciate the fact that Canada also stood on principle and denied entry to a Senegalese footballer who is in his own country has been accused of abusive behavior with women. So I think that there is a
terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world? With the Cape Verde's goalkeeper as well. Thanking you, John Dalton. Excellent remarks and commentary regarding international issues. Donald Trump, as we see them happening in Switzerland as well, of the global situation. Thank you so much for joining on this program.
I just want to say that in honor of Georgia Maloney, I'm going to go out tonight to Pizza Hut and have 2 pizzas, 2 for 1. And so I think that she did a great job, and the picture of her standing with her hand on her hip, waiting for Trump, is classic Italian woman, like, don't mess with me, Mr. Trump. Right. I appreciate her, so hats off to you, Georgia.
Really opening up the behaviors between world leaders, and of course it depends on their backgrounds. Thanking you once more for your commentary. Thanking Norman Floyd Barnes for joining us numerously on this program. Before I finish, let me also add on, today is 21st June 2026. Worldwide it is known and regarded as Father's Day. The word father is one, it is lived with shortest and sweetest words in the world. It is celebrated worldwide on the 3rd Sunday of every June to pay tributes to fathers worldwide. This day began with the idea that fathers are equally important to children along with mothers. We are ending, with that being said, we are ending today's event with respect and love for fathers worldwide.